There's a creature in the ocean, barely 2 inches long, that can create temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun. Not with venom, not with electricity, not with any chemical reaction, with a snap of its claw. The pistol shrimp closes its oversized claw so fast that it literally tears water apart, creating a cavitation bubble that collapses with such violence it generates temperatures above 8,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hotter than lava, hotter than the surface of the sun, which sits around 10,000 degrees. For a fraction of a millisecond, this tiny shrimp produces one of the most extreme physical phenomena in the ocean. The snap is louder than a gunshot. It creates a shockwave that stuns fish. It generates a flash of light, visible only to specialized cameras. And it happens so fast that for decades, no one could figure out how it worked. This isn't a sea monster. It's a 2-inch crustacean with one comically oversized claw that has accidentally weaponized physics itself. This is the story of the pistol shrimp, a weapon that shouldn't exist, and the physics so extreme it took cameras shooting at 300,000 frames per second to finally understand what was happening. Let's start with what actually happens when a pistol shrimp snaps its claw. Picture a shrimp with 2 claws. One is normal-sized, used for walking, feeding, basic shrimp activities. The other is absurdly large, sometimes half the length of its entire body, like walking around with one arm the size of your torso. That oversized claw isn't just big, it's mechanically sophisticated. The upper part has a plunger-like projection that fits perfectly into a socket on the lower part. When the shrimp contracts specific muscles, the claw doesn't just close, it snaps shut like a mousetrap, reaching speeds over 60 miles per hour. Underwater, where resistance is 800 times greater than in air. But here's the critical part. It's not the physical impact of the claw that creates the weapon. It's what happens to the water caught between the closing parts. When the claw snaps shut that fast, it launches a high-speed jet of water forward. This jet moves so violently that it creates a region of extremely low pressure in its wake. And water, when subjected to sudden low pressure, does something strange. It vaporizes. Even in cold ocean water, even at depth, the pressure drop is so severe that the water literally turns to vapor. A bubble forms, not an air bubble, a cavitation bubble, a pocket of water vapor created purely by the physics of pressure change. This bubble exists for less than a millisecond. Then physics catches up. The surrounding water rushes back in to fill the void. The bubble collapses. And when it does, all the energy that went into creating it releases in an instant. The implosion is so violent that temperatures inside the collapsing bubble spike to over 8,000 degrees Fahrenheit. There's a flash of light, a phenomenon called sonoluminescence, where the water briefly glows from the sheer energy of compression. And a shockwave radiates outward through the water at incredible speed. This is the weapon, not the claw itself, the bubble. Cavitation isn't unique to pistol shrimp. It's a well-known phenomenon that engineers have been fighting for over a century. Ship propellers spinning too fast underwater create cavitation bubbles. When those bubbles collapse against the metal surface, they gradually erode it away. Over time, tiny bubble after tiny bubble can destroy solid steel propellers. It's the same physics, just weaponized differently. Think of it like this. Imagine snapping a towel. When you whip it fast enough, the tip breaks the sound barrier and creates a small sonic boom. That crack you hear is air molecules being forced apart and slapping back together. The pistol shrimp does something similar, but with water. And because water is so much denser than air, the forces involved are exponentially greater. The collapsing bubble creates a shockwave strong enough to stun small fish. But here's what makes it remarkable. The extreme temperature only exists for a microsecond, and in a space smaller than a grain of sand. The water around the bubble doesn't boil. The shrimp's claw doesn't melt. All that energy concentrates and dissipates so quickly that it's like a controlled micro-explosion. Violent enough to incapacitate prey, precise enough not to harm the weapon itself. So how does a nearly blind shrimp use this weapon to hunt? Most pistol shrimp species live in burrows or hide in crevices among coral reefs and rocky seafloors. They're ambush predators, which means they wait for prey to come to them. When a small fish, worm, or another shrimp passes within a few inches, the pistol shrimp snaps. The prey doesn't see it coming. There's no visual warning. One moment it's swimming normally, the next it's hit by an invisible wall of force. The shockwave doesn't kill outright in most cases. It disrupts the nervous system. The fish goes limp, disoriented, its equilibrium scrambled. In that moment of confusion, the pistol shrimp grabs it with its normal claw and drags it into the burrow. Here's what makes this hunting strategy so effective. The shrimp doesn't need to see clearly. Many species have poor vision. Some are functionally blind. They hunt by sensing vibrations in the water. When something moves nearby, they feel it through sensitive hairs on their antennae and legs. They don't aim in the traditional sense. They point in the general direction and snap. The cavitation bubble and shock wave spread outward in a cone. As long as the prey is somewhere in that zone, it gets hit. It's an area of effect weapon. Imprecise, but effective, and incredibly fast. From the moment the shrimp's brain sends the signal to snap to the moment the bubble collapses, less than a millisecond passes. By the time prey senses danger, it's already stunned. If you've ever been scuba diving on a tropical reef, you've heard pistol shrimp. You just might not have known what you were hearing. That constant crackling, popping sound in the background, like someone frying bacon or crumpling cellophane underwater. That's them. Thousands of pistol shrimp snapping constantly. A single snap can reach over 210 decibels. For reference, a gunshot is around 140 decibels. A jet engine at takeoff is about 150 decibels. The pain threshold for human hearing is 120 decibels. Pistol shrimp are among the loudest animals in the ocean. Individually, they're noisy. Collectively, they create an entire soundscape. On reefs where pistol shrimp are abundant, their combined snapping drowns out nearly everything else. During World War II, this became strategically important. Submarines hiding from enemy sonar would position themselves near reefs thick with pistol shrimp. The constant crackling masked the submarine's engine noise and movement. The shrimp weren't just background noise, they were acoustic camouflage. But the sound serves the shrimp too. It's a territorial signal. When two pistol shrimp encounter each other, they snap. Not to hunt, but to communicate. The message is clear. This burrow is occupied. Move along. Some species snap rhythmically when they feel threatened, creating a kind of warning pulse. Others snap more aggressively when competing for mates or territory. In a murky underwater world where vision is limited, sound becomes a primary language. And the louder you snap, the more presence you command. But many pistol shrimp don't live alone. They formed one of the ocean's most remarkable partnerships with a completely different animal, gobies. Gobies are small fish, typically just a few inches long, with excellent eyesight, but limited defenses and no natural shelter. Pistol shrimp, meanwhile, are tireless excavators. They dig burrows in sand and rubble, creating safe havens from predators. But their vision is terrible, leaving them vulnerable while working outside. So they partnered up. The arrangement is simple but profound. The shrimp digs and maintains the burrow. The goby stands guard at the entrance, watching for danger. The shrimp stays in constant physical contact with the goby, usually resting one antenna on the fish's body. If the goby sees a predator approaching, it flicks its tail. The shrimp feels the movement and retreats instantly into the burrow, often pulling the goby in with it. If everything is safe, the goby remains still, and the shrimp continues working, excavating sand, clearing debris, widening the entrance. This partnership is so synchronized that they function almost as a single organism. The shrimp provides housing and protection. The goby provides early warning and surveillance. Neither thrives as well alone. And this isn't a casual relationship. Some species of gobies and pistol shrimp are so specialized for this partnership that they can't survive without each other. The goby won't settle on a reef unless it finds the right shrimp species. The shrimp won't maintain a burrow without a goby to guard it. Fossilized burrows suggest this partnership has existed for millions of years, making it one of the oldest ongoing collaborations in the ocean.
So where did this extraordinary weapon come from?
Pistol shrimp belong to a family of over 1,000 species of snapping shrimp spread across the world's oceans. Not all of them snap with the same force. Some produce weak cavitation bubbles, others barely cavitate at all. This tells us the snap evolved gradually. It started as a simple, fast-closing claw that happened to create small pressure changes in the water. Over countless generations, natural selection favored individuals who could snap faster, create bigger bubbles, and generate more force. But why did this matter? Reefs are brutal environments. Space is limited, food is scarce, predators are everywhere. Any advantage in hunting or defense compounds over time. A shrimp that could stun prey from a distance didn't need to wrestle with it. A shrimp that could defend its burrow with sound alone didn't need to risk physical combat. The snap became a multi-purpose tool, hunting weapon, territorial display, and alarm system. But evolution never stops at one innovation. Prey began adapting. Some fish evolved faster reflexes, reacting to the sound of a snap before the shockwave arrived. Others learned to avoid areas with heavy pistol shrimp populations. Predators evolved counters too. Octopuses reach into burrows with tentacles and pull shrimp out before they can react. Larger fish simply swallow them whole. The snap doesn't work if you're too big to stun or too fast to hit. And then there's competition among the shrimp themselves. Bigger claws produce stronger snaps. Faster snaps create bigger bubbles. In territorial disputes, the shrimp with the most powerful snap usually wins without ever making physical contact. This is the nature of evolutionary arms races. Every weapon breeds a defense. Every advantage creates pressure for a counter-adaptation. The pistol shrimp's sonic weapon is devastatingly effective, but it's not invincible. It's just the current state of a competition that's been running for millions of years. Here's something most people don't know. Pistol shrimp aren't just tropical reef animals. They live in temperate waters, deep ocean trenches, kelp forests, and even freshwater rivers in some parts of the world. Over 1,000 species, each slightly different, each adapted to different environments and hunting strategies. Some species are solitary hunters, others live in massive colonies, their combined snapping creating underwater cacophonies that can be heard for miles. In certain bays and estuaries, the noise from pistol shrimp colonies is so intense it interferes with naval sonar and underwater communication systems. Scientists have even studied whether the collective snapping of large populations affects the way sound travels through ocean water, potentially influencing everything from whale communication to how submarines navigate. And then there's the strange case of convergent evolution. Mantis shrimp, which aren't closely related to pistol shrimp at all, independently evolved a similar cavitation-based weapon. They punch so fast that even when they miss, the cavitation bubble can injure or kill prey. Two completely different animals, separated by millions of years of evolution, arrived at the same solution: weaponize the collapse of bubbles. It suggests that in certain environments, under certain pressures, cavitation weapons are simply too effective for evolution to ignore. The pistol shrimp challenges everything we think we know about what makes an effective predator. It's not large, it's not fast over distance, it has no venom, no sharp teeth, no crushing strength. What it has is physics. It discovered, through millions of years of trial and error, that if you move something fast enough underwater, you don't need anything else. Speed alone becomes the weapon. And it does this without any understanding of thermodynamics or fluid mechanics. The shrimp doesn't know it's creating temperatures hotter than the sun. It doesn't know what cavitation is. Evolution simply rewarded the shrimp whose claws closed a little faster. Generation after generation, that trait amplified until it crossed a threshold where physics took over and created something extraordinary. This is what makes evolution so remarkable. It's not intelligent, it's not planning, it's just relentlessly testing variations, and the ones that work, even if they seem absurd, survive.
Right now, on a reef somewhere in the world, a pistol shrimp is waiting in its burrow. Its oversized claw, cocked and ready, looks almost comical. A small fish drifts too close. The shrimp snaps. For less than a millisecond, water turns to vapor and collapses with the force of a micro-explosion. Temperatures spike above 8,000 degrees. A shockwave ripples outward. The fish goes limp, and the shrimp drags it back into the dark. No chase, no struggle, just physics, refined over millions of years into one of the strangest weapons in the natural world. The pistol shrimp doesn't need to be big, it doesn't need to be fierce, it just needs to snap. And in the ocean, that's enough. The next time you're at a restaurant looking at a plate of shrimp, remember this. Somewhere in that same family tree, there's a creature that weaponized physics. Not all shrimp snap, most don't. The ones on your plate are likely peaceful grazers, filter feeders, part of the ocean's quiet majority. But their cousins, the pistol shrimp, took a different path. They evolved a claw that moves faster than almost anything in the ocean. They discovered that speed alone, pushed to its absolute limit, could tear water apart and create temperatures hotter than the sun. They didn't need size. They didn't need venom. They didn't need teeth. They just needed to snap. And that snap became a weapon, a language, a territorial claim, and a partnership invitation all at once. Right now, as you're watching this, millions of pistol shrimp are snapping across the world's reefs. That constant crackling, that underwater static, is the sound of tiny architects defending their burrows, stunning their prey, and announcing their presence in the only way that matters in the murky deep. It's a reminder that evolution doesn't care about what seems possible. A 2-inch shrimp creating explosions hotter than the surface of the sun shouldn't work. But it does. Nature doesn't ask permission from physics. It just finds the edges, pushes against them, and occasionally breaks through into something extraordinary. The pistol shrimp found that edge, and it's been snapping ever since.